guys, it's Tori and today I'm going to be filming my June wrap-up. So technically I already filmed this video. Also, sorry if it's a little echoey in here. I wanted to film outside, but I didn't really like the space I was filming in last time I filmed outside, so changing it up, hopefully the echoey won't show up too much in the footage. But like I said, I already filmed this and my camera once again was having audio problems. I mentioned a few weeks ago that it was. So I'm using my mom's phone to film this, and hopefully I can get my whole camera audio situation figured out soon because it's just really obnoxious. So anyway, let's just get into this. I had a pretty light reading month in June, so this shouldn't take too long. So the first book I ended up completing in June was I, Elizabeth by Rosalind Miles. This is a story following Elizabeth I from her perspective from the time that her father married his final wife, Catherine Parr, all the way up until essentially her death. It doesn't go quite to her death because it's from her perspective, so it ends like with her talking about the fact that she feels close to dying. But it's very, very good, very interesting look at her life. I honestly knew very little about Elizabeth I going into this, so I was hoping this would give me a good introduction to her and her reign and some events that occurred during that time period, and it definitely did that for me. I could tell it was very well researched. I felt like the only really creative license that was taken in this was essentially that it's from her perspective, and so it's showing her thoughts on different things, and we may not completely know what her thoughts were on these different events and in regards to these different people, and also some of her personal relationships we don't know a lot about, so a lot of license had to be taken there obviously. But as far as like events go and the order of events and possible like gossip surrounding her relationships with different people were definitely well researched and portrayed well in this. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, and the reason it wasn't quite a 5 stars is, first of all, I felt like there was a sexual abuse scene towards the beginning of this that I felt like could have been handled better. I don't feel like it was handled horribly, especially because we're seeing this from Elizabeth's perspective. So from her perspective, they didn't understand mental illness, they didn't understand the effects of psychological trauma, especially with sexual abuse, and so she wouldn't understand that, and she wouldn't probably take the time to really think too much about that, but you could tell the things that happened with that did affect her, but I feel like it could have been handled better. I felt like it didn't make it very clear that it was a really awful thing. So that was one complaint. The other complaint I had was, honestly, I don't really like Elizabeth I as like a person. Like, I really respect her and what she did. The way she was able to hold on to power for so long in a time when women really struggled to get any power at all, and that she was so well respected by her people. I appreciate all that, and I think she was a very, very good leader based on my little knowledge regarding her. But her personality was just very cold, very jealous, very arrogant and vain. Oh, I really struggled to like her. And even before I read this, every portrayal I've seen of her, every time I learn anything about her, I just don't like her. So that just hindered my enjoyment. I also found the writing to be a little bit weird. I feel like the author was trying to make her sound very regal and royal, but really it just sounded very pretentious and over the top to me, and I didn't particularly enjoy this, especially comparing it to Tsarina, which I just finished, which I'll talk about in my next wrap-up. I really liked the main character in that and her leadership skills, and I don't know, there was a lot about her personality that I could enjoy even if she wasn't completely likable, if that makes sense. Whereas Elizabeth I, I didn't like it. Also with Tsarina, I felt like she still sounded sophisticated and intelligent and everything, but oh, big truck just passed by. But it wasn't over the top, whereas this, like I said, was very over the top. So I really, really enjoyed it, which is why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but there were a few things that pulled me out of the story a little bit and I struggled with a little bit more, so I couldn't quite give it a 5 stars, but if you're interested in Elizabeth I feel like this is a very good introduction to her. So while I, Elizabeth was just a book I picked up, that wasn't part of my Bookopoly prompts. The next book I picked up was part of those Bookopoly prompts, and that was Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which I ended up giving 4 out of 5 stars as well. Originally I was planning to read a collection of short stories by Edgar Allan Poe, however I just found I like Edgar Allan Poe, but not enough to read that much of him all at once. Like, I feel like I have to separate his short stories out, so I was just struggling with it. So I ended up picking up this instead for a sensation slash gothic classic, and I really enjoyed this. This follows a woman who has recently been married and has made quite a social jump. She started as a governess in a doctor's household, and she gets married to this very wealthy man in the county. However, very little is known about her past, and so she's kind of mysterious in that way. And then we also meet George Talboys early on, who has been in Australia trying to find gold to make a name for himself. And when he returns to England, he comes to find that tragedy has struck, and things go on from there. It's a really well-crafted mystery. I wouldn't say it's a whodunit, because you know pretty early on who done it. It's very obvious, and I knew from the get-go, but it's more of a how, when, why kind of a mystery, and I really liked the way it was done. A lot of plot twists, and it was just very engaging. The writing was just very well crafted. The pacing of the story and all the different plot points were done very well, so it kept me intrigued the entire time. I did find one of the main characters to be a little bit sexist, and that was a little bit of a struggle to read sometimes. It was just very blatantly, and I feel like in some ways it was used as a tool to show that he's kind of insecure, and so that's why he's being angry about women or whatever, but it was still a little bit frustrating at times. But in the end, I just really enjoyed this. I ended up flying through it a lot faster than I fly through most classics. It was just so engaging. The only reason it's not a 5 stars is honestly because I kind of save 5 stars for books that I find teach a really good lesson or have really interesting ideas explored, or that like really connect to me personally. And this one didn't really do either of those things. It was just more fun and entertaining, and one I will definitely reread, and one I recommend highly to anyone who's interested, but it just didn't have those things to take it over the top. So those are the only 2 books I finished this month, which was good. I felt like I needed a little bit of a slower reading month to just enjoy reading, not over stress about it, and just do a few other things as well. But I did also start one other that I needed to read for my Bookopoly prompts, and I do intend to finish it, which is why I'm not punishing myself for not completing this, because it's very long and I knew I probably wouldn't finish it, but as long as I started it within those couple months for those Bookopoly challenges that I had set for those 2 months, I was going to count it because I know I'm going to finish it. And that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This is for a book with a building on the cover. So I did get like 300 pages into it by the time the month ended. I apologize if the angle changed. Like I said, I'm filming with my mom's phone, and someone was calling her, so I had to take that over to her really quick, and we're back now. So hopefully no interruptions. I knew that was possibly going to happen because she had wanted her sister, my aunt, to call her about something. So anyway, now that that's done, hopefully no more interruptions. I don't quite remember where I was, but basically, yes, I've been reading The Count of Monte Cristo on audiobook, so listening to it technically, and I have been absolutely adoring it. I hope to finish it by the end of August at the latest, but hopefully by the end of July would be awesome, but we'll see what happens in life. But this is amazing. If you don't know, this follows the story of a man named Edmond Dantes, who his fortunes are looking up, and he's potentially going to become a captain of a ship. He's about to marry this beautiful woman that he loves so much, and then there are some friends of his that end up betraying him and causing him to be arrested. And when he gets out of prison, he goes on the path of vengeance, and it's really great, very well paced, and I'm absolutely loving it. Also, if you don't know, Alexandre Dumas, the author of Count of Monte Cristo, was actually black, which I didn't know until reading this book and doing a little more research into him. So if you're wanting to diversify your classics reading, you may want to check him out. Anyway, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below some books you've read this month that you've loved, as I would love to know. Also, if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them, and I will see you next time. Bye!